glad to see you here. We do have quite a bit of business to cover this evening, but we're gonna move along as expeditiously as we can, and hopefully not keep you too awful long. And at this time, we will have a moment of silence, and the moment of silence will be in recognition of the victims from the 9/11/2001 attacks on the Trade Center and other areas, Pentagon in Pennsylvania. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I need to make a change to the agenda, and that's on the very first item. We will have a 1A, which we have to hire in a public session our new county manager, Mr. Leonard Sossaman. So that will be our first order of business. The approval of the agenda will be item 1B. So at this time, we'll ask if anybody has anything that they need to change or add to the agenda. I'm taking nobody has anything to go into commission concerns, petitions, announcements, or comments. If we don't, that's.
I do have commission concern.
Yes, sir.
Transferring the vehicle to a municipality.
Any other commissioner have anything to add? Okay.
I wanted to just add to bring up the wood treatment facility in Brunswick County, the issue there.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agenda with the noted changes.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturdivant, to approve the agenda with the noted changes. Any further discussion? All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The agenda is approved with the noted changes. Our item 2 is public hearing on the community development block grant, and that is found on page 2, and I think there's also some information here at our desk on it. So at this point, we will need a motion to go into to open the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, just note a clarification. We do have a 1A, hiring of a new county manager.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
I said that and left off and went on and forgot it. So let's back up. Item 1A. We need a motion to. Sorry about that, Mr. Sossaman. Go ahead, Commissioner Sturdy.
I second the motion.
Okay, the motion is to approve the hiring of Mr. Leonard Sossaman as our county manager, and this action will be effective as of Friday, September the 9th. That's when the contract was signed. Okay, and we got the motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant. Did I get it backwards? Got it backwards. Okay, motion by Commissioner Sturtevant, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood to hire Mr. Leonard Sossaman as our new county manager, effective September the 9th. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to note, as I've mentioned before, Mr. Sossaman is extremely well qualified for this position by way of his education, professional work experiences. He passed all the background checks in flying colors, and he passed one that I'm not sure I could pass, and that's a pre-employment drug screening. So I am thrilled to second the motion and look forward to working with Mr. Sossaman.
Okay, all right, you've heard the motion and the second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposers, like sign. It is unanimous. Mr. Sossaman is now our
Outstanding.
county manager. Now we'll hear from Mr. Sossaman. It's been a long time coming. We're glad to have you.
Years in the making. It was a pleasure. I appreciate your confidence as a board in me, and I look forward to serving Anson County It's, I'm originally from just up the road, down the road, however you want to slice it and whack it. It's originally from Cabarrus County, small town, Mount Pleasant. And went on, as Commissioner Gatewood said, did my education here in North Carolina, which was a lesson. And I've worked in a few different states. I guess my longest tenure was as Concord's city manager, but I've also been a county manager in South Carolina and also in Florida, and survived to live and tell about it. And most recently, I spent about 9 months up in the frozen tundra, not quite frozen tundra, it was New Jersey. This past winter, I saw more snow than I ever want to see again in my life. Over a period of 2 months, Mr. Attorney, honest to God, we had about 4 feet. Thank the Lord, it did not all come at one time. It was spread out over about 60 days, but still, yet this southern boy does not like snow. Seeing it on a picture postcard or on television is one thing, but I look forward to working with the commissioners and the citizens, as well as your EDC folks, to see what we might could do to be a benefit to the good folks of Anson County. So I'll be glad to try to answer any questions, but I figured as many people are here and this long agenda, you want something short and sweet.
All right. Yeah, this agenda's got me kinda out. I wanna get through it, not tonight, not tomorrow night, so. Okay, now we're, so now we're down to the, correct me if I'm wrong, now we're down to our public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant. That information is on page 2 in our packet. So this time we'll need a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Mims and Commissioner Sturtevant to open the public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carried, it is unanimous. We're now in the public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant, and this block grant is for the area of Burnsville. So, we're open for input from the citizens. If anybody here wants to speak to that. Well, Mr. James Lust, I want you first.
Thank you.
We're here for Mr. Luster first, he'll give us all the details.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate the
This
opportunity to
time.
speak with you. And I will be brief. I understand you've got a long agenda tonight, so I'll make my comments extremely brief. Again, my name is James Luster. I'm with Central Iowa Regional Council, and I appreciate the opportunity to prepare the application for the county. This is the second of 2 required public hearings for the Community Development Block Grant. What I'd like to do is go over some of the program highlights initially, and then the second part of my presentation will be the specifics about your block grant that's being submitted. This year, the state had $20 million appropriated for the Community Development Block Grant Neighborhood Revitalization Project. The maximum amount that the county could apply for was $950,000. The program period is a 30-month period if awarded. The program is geared to benefit low and moderate income individuals. All the participants in the program have to be owner-occupied homeowners. The county agreed at its last meeting to include a deferred loan program. And in terms of the application itself, we are including 11 applicants in the application. It sent out a package, it should be in your council agenda packet, of exhibit number 5, which includes the list of priority applicants in the program. So a total of 13 applicants, and it is our hope that we will have additional funding at the end of the program to address all 13. However, we're including 11 as our primary applicants and 2 as alternates, with the hope that we will have funding to cover those all 13. There are 3, the application itself is due on September 30th. So we've got a few more weeks before we submit, but this public hearing is required prior to submittal of that application. And there are 3 board actions that we would like to recommend tonight. The first is approval of the Housing Selection Committee's property recommendations, which is exhibit number 5. Also adoption of the minutes for that Housing Selection Committee. I think you've got that in your agenda packet as well. And also a resolution that is required for adoption by the board for submittal with the application. We also submitted 10 signatory documents to be signed by the chairman for submittal with that application as well. And those are the items that need to be handled by the board prior to submittal. And in closing, I'd like to thank 3 individuals who were very important to this process. Commissioner J.D. Bricken was extremely helpful with this process. I'd also like to thank Ms. Carol Smith, who's in the audience tonight. She allowed us to use the facilities, the Learning Center, and also help with outreach. So we greatly appreciate that. And also Ms. Lula Jackson, who was the chairman of our Housing Selection Committee, and she worked extremely hard during that process. I want to thank all those folks for their participation in the application process. So, thank you.
Great job.
Okay, what was that third item we needed to approve? I know Exhibit 5, Exhibit 8, and the third one?
Is adoption of a resolution. We have to include a resolution as part of the application package.
And we need to do that tonight.
Yes, we need to adopt that resolution tonight.
I make a motion that we adopt that resolution tonight.
Second.
Mr. Gatewood second. And Mr. Mills
Second.
okay?
Are you gonna do them all at one time, or do we need to do them individual?
That's gonna be my question.
You can do them all at one time if you'd like.
It'll be Exhibit 5, Exhibit 8, and the resolution.
Mhm.
If you amend, whoever made the motion.
Yo, I did, I'm gonna get you when I get out of
I'm
class.
sorry.
And I second the motion.
Okay, you want me to say exhibit?
I'm not good enough.
Okay.
I'm good with it. You good
Yes,
with me?
sir.
Okay.
I'll make a
Okay,
motion.
we have a motion from, Commissioner Sturtevant, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood, Commissioner Mims, that we approve Exhibit 5, Exhibit 8, and adopt a resolution in support of the, Community Development Block Grant application for, Anson County, Burnsville. Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Okay, motion carried, it is unanimous. The, block grant, application is approved. And I think I just messed up, we did this in public hearing, we need to come out of public hearing. That's all right. Clerk will take care of it. And I don't know if anybody from the public had anything to say or not, especially since we've already approved it, so.
Well, I will stand since I'm here from the Burnsville area, and I want to say I really appreciate what has been done this evening. This is just the beginning of Anson County continuing to reach out beyond what we call the Waysboro area.
All right.
This is meeting people that have needs just as those in Waysboro and Morgan and Liceville. And we are certainly grateful to our board this evening for all that you have done. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, to make it official at this time, well, no, we're back, but we need a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
We have a motion for Commissioner Mims, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant to close the public hearing. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried, it is unanimous, the public hearing is closed. And we've already taken action, so now we'll move on to, the next public hearing, which is the ACTS FY24 admin budget. Start on page 3.
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion to go into public hearing by Commissioner Mims, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood. Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous, the motion carries. So we are now in public hearing for the ACTS, FY24 admin budget. Okay, Ms. Bird.
I want to thank you all for allowing me to be here tonight. It is that time for our admin grant for me to apply for that. And the total this year for the 2024 year is $167,751. The federal amount is $134,200.45, and the state is $8,387.52, and our local share will be $25,163.
Okay, any commissioners have any questions of, Ms. Bird? Or anybody from the public as far as that's concerned? Okay, hearing no questions, then we need a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
I second.
Have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant to close the public hearing. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. it is unanimous. The public hearing is closed.
Thank you.
So this time we will need a motion to adopt the FY 2024 admin
I
budget.
make a motion that we adopt the FY
2024
2024
admin budget.
admin budget.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sturtevant, seconded by Commissioner Mims to adopt the FY 2024 admin budget for acts. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The motion carries. The FY 2024 admin budget for acts is approved. Okay, all right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. And I think everybody, hope you had a chance to go through that. I'm not going to, as lengthy as it is, I won't go through each item. I will say this, pretty much all of the budget amendments are items that were approved for our last year's fiscal budget. Either material came in and didn't get paid for, or items didn't get purchased and the money had to be carried over. So that's pretty much the reason for the budget amendments. And then the contracts are, I think we're familiar with those. One is Hazen and Sawyer for the wastewater and water treatment project. And the ability, and you hire a planner, that's the planning and the zoning ordinance that they're working on. That contract actually ran out, so we've got to update it because they're not through. It won't be through until they make their presentation to this board and we adopt it.
Yep.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I've read the consent agenda.
Okay.
It's very well done, and I make a motion that we approve it.
I second it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The consent agenda is approved. Okay. Public addresses to the board. We have several people that have signed up. I don't know if any people have signed up on the public addresses of the board. We actually hear from Community Development Block Grant or not, but if you were, let me know because we've already done that. But just a reminder, each citizen shall be allowed 3 minutes for your discussion, and commissioners are expected not to comment on matters brought to the board during this time, but to delay action or comment until staff has had an opportunity to research the subject matter and to report necessary and relevant information to all members of the board. So we will start, okay.
I'll be glad to keep time, if that's all right, and at 2 minutes, I'll raise my hand so you have 1 minute left. Is that okay?
That's fine. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Okay, Mr. Brian Johnson.
Good evening, everyone. What I want to speak a little bit about tonight is I would hope that you all would kind of reconsider your priorities. I think we kind of got the cart in front of the horse in most cases. If you want the county to start growing, we all know we lost 10% of our population between 2010 and 2020 censuses. We know the school student population is half what it was when I moved here. The county's dying, and something needs to be done, something different than has been done in the past, something different than what I see happening now. Number one reason we can't grow is crime. Property crime, violent crime, we always lead the state in it. We're one of the top counties. The sheriff's budget is about 50% of what he needs. He doesn't have near enough cars to have coverage. He doesn't have the officers he needs, and he doesn't have the budget for salaries. He loses all, not all, but many of his best young deputies to go to other places. They get a huge raise to go to Marshville Police, like about $6,000 a year. Something has to be done to help the sheriff to do his job, because we got a good sheriff. He'll do his job if we fund him, and we're not doing that. Second thing is education. I've got the statistics to show you, and if you want to see them, I'll show you. We've got one of the worst education systems in the developed world. I'm not talking United States, North Carolina, the developed world. the scores are absolutely unbelievable. And you'll say, well, the school board controls that. Yes, they do. But who has 25% of their budget? You know, when the federal government sends their 30%, that they have all kinds of mandates and everything tied to it to get the money. They have to do certain things. There's no reason that you cannot demand better performance, because we do not have dumb kids, which is what most of the school board members will tell you. They'll say we have dumb kids, we have bad parents, and I'm not buying that for 1 minute. I would have been on the school board, and I still have school principals and teachers calling me and talking to me about stuff. But you need to put pressure on them with money. Another thing, we're looking at a very large expansion of my business. We've already gone nationwide, and we're going to be going much bigger. Problem is, I can't do it. I don't have three-phase power, and I gotta have three-phase power for equipment. Talked to PD Electric about it, and it stops about 2 miles from my house, and they said it's totally unaffordable for me to pay for it to bring it down to where I live. So we're taking offers on the farm right now and looking at moving to another county. I don't know if we will, but we're probably going to be forced to do that based on the fact that the county doesn't have the resources to support us. Anyway, I just want to thank you for your efforts and what you do, and please consider the priorities I just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, Mr. Bobby Johnson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good news and bad news. A online publication called NC Policy Watch published on 8/10/2022 by Lisa Sword. I will be quoting a couple of things on this because it concerns Anderson County and concerns it in a very strong way. The title of the article is "Moving the Misery Around." And I know that some of you have already mentioned that you plan to speak about that tonight. The EPA plans to truck contaminated soil from one black community to another. Contaminated soil from Superfund site in Navassa, North Carolina will be shipped to one of 3 landfills outside Brunswick County, likely moving toxic pollution from one non-white or low-income community to another. 3 landfills are under consideration to receive contaminated soil. The closest facility is in Sampson County, 68 miles away. Here, 44% of the citizens in the landfill's census block group are low income and 38 are non-white. A neighborhood census block group is 75% low income. All 3 landfills are in environmental justice communities. I hope that you know what I'm talking about, environmental justice. Okay. The proposed land cleanup plan approved by the EPA in late May highlights environmental injustices that occur when counties, regulators, polluters offload their problems to communities of color. Decades of misuse poisoned the site with carcinogens, including dioxins and PAH, also known as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. To shield itself from environmental liability, Carr McGee spun off a company, Tronox, which declared bankruptcy in 2009. The site entered Superfund program the next year. The list is narrowed to 3 landfills: Sampson County and Roseboro, Great Oak and Randleman in Randall County, and Chambers Development, also known as Hanson County Landfill in Fulton. All 3 are located in and near non-white and low-income communities or both. Soil sampling results provided by the trust shows levels of benzoprene, a known carcinogen up to 600 times above residential standards, including naphthalene, a possible carcinogen that can damage the retina and cause anemia in people who are chronically exposed. There are no hazardous landfills in North Carolina. The nearest one, in a small town of Emil, Alabama, is the largest hazardous landfill in the nation. Emil's population is 80% black. We're going to end up with the exact same thing here if we don't get that landfill under control. I have spoken to you several times about this, and I'm very serious. I know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Okay, Mr. Charles McGinnis.
Good evening.
Evening.
I wanted to just bring up a point about the new zoning laws that's coming down the pike.
Okay.
There's wording in there that allows for hazardous waste to be brought into the county. And I don't know anybody that in their right mind that would want to bring hazardous waste into our county, and yet it's in the zoning laws. So my recommendation is not only take the laws, those laws allowing hazardous waste to come into this county, not only take them out, but also replace them with laws to prevent it. By doing that, you're keeping the county a little cleaner. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGinnis. Okay, Mr. Joe Allman.
Good evening. My name's Joel Allman. I live at Wayside Road, which is on Cameron Road, which backs up to the landfill. Me and my father-in-law moved here 20 years ago. On average, we don't have too much of a problem with the smell because normally the wind blows south and east. So it's blowing away from me across there, but you never know. And when it blows my direction, if you have a family outing or anything, you have to move it indoors because you cannot have a outside anything at that time. If you're mowing your yard, you have to stop and wait till the smell goes away. I took pictures on Labor Day weekend. We just walked down Cameron Road. You can see Mount Popeton's what I'm calling it. And there did not have any coverage on the trash, the tarps. And I have pictures to show that. They're supposed to cap it off with dirt at the end, I guess, every day. I'm not sure on that, but there's two large tarps just pulled down over top of the trash with trash coming out from underneath it. I'm a live and let live guy, you know, so I'm not going to cause problems with anything, but when something starts to become a problem to you physically, I don't have any health problems. We are having some neighbors that are having some problems. Whether it comes from that or not, we don't know. But if you continue to allow any kind of hazardous waste or up the amount of trash, they can't handle it now. If you go to a 300-day load of trash, of trucks coming in there, your streets are terrible now. Highway 74 run down it. You know, they just paved over that, but go down 742, go down Highway 52 through Norwood. The roads are terrible. We ought to have the best roads in the state. We ought to be charging a premium for Mecklenburg County and all these other counties bringing, what do we do, about maybe 5 or 6% Anson County trash here. Everything else is coming from outside the county and trucked in. So we need to at least surcharge per trucks. We ought to not pay property tax. But anyway, just keep that in mind. It's a beautiful, beautiful country out here. I've got a beautiful view of trees and everything. Thank God they blocked Mount Popeton. Not for much longer. It's going to be the largest man-made item between Charlotte and Wilmington. And the white vultures that fly around every day, you see those, they make a mess. Luckily they stay to the other side of my property, but it's on, a lot of the lower income, on the side towards the Highway Patrol Station. If you go down 74, you can smell it about every day. So, the other thing is, if you get any ability to bring high-speed internet into this county, you need to apply for the grants for it, because there's nothing here. I've been fighting it. I'm having to do hotspots to be able to do my business. I'm having to do 3 or 4 hotspots a day, you know, just a month, just to have enough data to continue doing things. So we need we need good high-speed internet for everybody in this county. We ought to be able to do that. Charge more for the trash. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Okay, Ms. Margaret Lott.
How y'all doing? Here, just good. I'm gonna update on a future meeting. It was supposed to be with Mr. Allen, and I believe now it's gonna be with Mr. Sussman, as the county manager. On the 27th with the consultants concerning the language that the people have already been talking about. So a couple people have already sort of touched on what I was gonna touch on tonight, so I won't reiterate. The wording hazardous, toxic, radioactive, things like that in the zoning draft. We're gonna be talking about that with the consultants. I would like to invite any commissioner that wants to come. I believe Commissioner Bricken has been CC'd in all of these emails, to join us, give us some input, hear what the consultants are saying, why is the wording in there, what do we gotta do to take it out, and what do we have to do to protect Anson County moving forward. With that being said, my name is Margaret Lott, and I'm here tonight to ask my elected officials to send a letter of protest to the EPA, the entity that would allow more toxic waste to be dumped in Anson County. The landfill is already causing health, environmental, and property value problems. Our current county leadership needs to correct these problems first, then protect Anson County and its residents from any further impacts this poor policy decisions made by past leadership, and thank you for that. With that being said, the language that we're seeing now in 2021, landfill will accept spoiled foods, asbestos water, treated medical waste, wastewater sludge, construction and demolition wastes, ash, coal ash, off-specification outdated commercial products, and for 2022 we're looking at heavy metal concentration found in well waters of acetone, arsenic, barium, among others. And that's just a snapshot of it. Nuclear waste, hazardous waste, toxic chemicals, explosives in Anson County, and unrestricted landfill expansion. That's scary. For what's happening now, how it's affecting our residents, unrestricted landfill. We need to look at that wording and we need to stop it. So I think that's it for now. Again, thank you for the cottage industry, the home industry, the support you guys are given there to help lift Anson County up, to allow people to work from their homes, to make use of their property, to make an income for themselves, their future families, and I thank you all for that. And we're going to continue working on that together. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lott. Okay, Ms. Jackson, Ms. Lewis Jackson.
Good evening.
Evening.
To our board chair, Mr. Woodburn, to the Board of Commissioners, and welcome to Mr. Sussman, to Anson County. I am here to request that American Rescue Plan Act funds be used to improve the work environment at the Department of Social Services. In 2017, there was a proposed budget request for $50,000 for repainting and recarpeting offices at the DSS and Belt Building. That proposal also included $350,000 for the cost for design and engineering for a new DSS building. It was stated in 2017 that it would be at least 3 to 5 years before we were able to move into a new building. The 17-18 budget was approved for $350,000 in capital outlay for the design of the new DSS building. The funds for repainting and recarpeting were not approved because the thought was we would soon be moving into a new DSS building. However, here we are now, 5 years later, without a new building, without new paint, and without new carpet. As a result of deferred maintenance, we now have critical needs that must be addressed to ensure the health, safety, and security of staff and Anson County citizens that we serve. Again, I ask that $159,500 be set aside for renovations at the DSS building for replacing carpet with vinyl flooring, painting the interior of the building, renovating open space into 3 interview rooms, seal coating the front parking lot, and replacing DSS signage. I understand the putting of new wine in old vessels, but I also understand the value of investing in the health, safety, and security of your staff and the customers that they serve. Replacing 35-year-old carpet, repainting walls after 20 years, providing a safe and secure space to interview customers after a pandemic, upgrading a parking lot that currently feels like walking on gravel, and replacing a 25-year-old sign will show the value that the Anson County Board of Commissioners have for their employees and their citizens. I've learned that there are no guarantees, like a new building in 3 to 5 years. But again, there is value in not putting off for tomorrow what you can do today. I would like to thank the DSS staff members that are here to show their support for our need for new renovations at the current location. We again understand that you don't want to put money into an old building, but we cannot continue to ask staff and citizens to endure the mold, the mildew, the water standing, and the other things that they have to endure when they come into the building. So as a part of the public request, public hearing, public address, I just wanted to make you aware. I know that you will be talking about use of the funds later on, but again, I wanted to address that. Again, to thank the DSS board for their support, to thank Ms. Broadway for her compassionate plea to the DSS board, and again for all of those that are here on tonight to support the request. If the DSS staff members would please stand.
All right.
Thank you.
Did Ms. Dunlap stand up?
Yes, ma'am. While I have your attention, I would also like to inform that the DSS board currently has 3 vacancies. Mr. Lawrence Gatewood, our current board chair, Ms. Janet White, and Ms. Lynn Whitlock terms have expired on the DSS board. And I would just like to make the Board of Commissioners aware, in the event that you have anyone that you would like to recommend as a replacement, you would get those names to me. I will send those nominations up to the Social Services Commission for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson. Okay, there is another name that signed up for public address to the board, but I don't think they understood. They are actually on our agenda under appearances. That's Mr. A.R. Rubin. So that ends our public addresses to the board. Thank everybody for coming, and I'm pretty sure that the interim and the county manager have made notes on all of your concerns, and we will be addressing. We will get back with anybody that brought something up.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if I'm not out of order, I'd like just a minute to reinforce the need that our Anson County DSS employees have. And I would like to make a motion at this time that we approve the $159,500 so that they can replace their floor coverings, do the repairs to the parking lot, the signage, and also to create 3 intake rooms for safety and security of staff. So I make that motion.
Could we, well, okay, I was gonna ask you a lot, cause Mr. Allen has that in his manager's report tonight, and to look at that time, but, I mean, the motion's been made by Mr. Gatewood to, let me get to it. Okay, we have a motion from, Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant, to spend the, what's $159,500 to make the, to do the renovations at the current DSS facility. Is there any further discussion, any discussion from any commissioner?
Have we gotten price quotes, or is that an estimate?
Those are price quotes, and those are firm.
Anyone else?
You change it front door, it knocks you down when you go in there.
Okay, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay, hearing none, it is unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Renovations to the DSS building, $159,500 has been approved.
Miss Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna tell you what, made me second that motion. Your church yesterday, and when you said that about, wine and old Skip, that's one of my verses, like, yes, I like that.
Okay, we're now at appearances. And once again, Ms. Jackson, Tri-County Child Advocacy Center funding, and that is on page 159.
Oh, Lord, you ain't asking for no more money.
Yes, ma'am. This time I am asking for funds on behalf of the county as a whole, and not just for Department of Social Services. There is a, in Richmond, Anson, and Scotland County have entered into an interagency agreement to support the creation, development, and implementation and operation of a child advocacy center that meets the needs of children that are victims of abuse. These facilities are used by law enforcement, hospitals, schools, to help meet the needs of children. The funds will be used to begin multidisciplinary teams, training of providers, and to match funding requirements for grants, and to help obtain additional state and federal funding. There was a request for each of the counties, Anson, Scotland, and Richmond, to contribute $25,000. Richmond and Scotland County have contributed $25,000 to the Child Advocacy Center. The district attorney, Mr. Reese Saunders, is working on this committee as well, and is advocating for a child advocacy center that will serve this court district. Currently, we use the facility in Stanley County, which is the Butterfly House, or the facility in Union County, which is Turning Point Treehouse. But the hope is that by developing a child advocacy center for this court district, that we will be consistent in the services and attention that we provide to children, and when there are cases that require court involvement, then it would be consistent in what's presented to the court to help when children have been victims of rape or sexual assault. So the request is on behalf of DSS, law enforcement, Anson County Schools, for $25,000 to be contributed to the Child Advocacy Center. And there is a letter in your documentation from District Attorney Mr. Saunders. Yes.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Right ahead.
Please. I have some experience with this. Is this gonna be very similar to the Butterfly House, like you said?
It will be, yes, it will be similar, very similar to the Butterfly House, very similar to what they do at Turning Point. The hope will be that because it's the Tri-County area, that we will have priority instead of getting in where we fit in.
Okay. So we could use that for our children instead of
Yes.
having to wait in the
Yes.
butterfly house like we do that.
Mhm. Yes, this would serve our children.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I, as an attorney, have seen the effects of the butterfly house, and I have nothing but positive things. I'm trying not to tear up right now. It gets to the truth of a lot of matters. It is not, they were fair, and this is an organization they have been against me, but they were against my client, but they showed a proper thing, and they've supported my clients before too. It's a very good child advocacy group, and
It is.
I don't know how far I can go with it, but it does, that facility does what it's supposed to.
Okay. Do we know at this point where it would be located?
The most recent, location that we looked at was in downtown, Richmond, so the kind of be centrally located between the three counties. It is near the DSS facility in a, little, what looks like a little mall section, right there where the circle is.
Oh, okay.
There's office space there that would be used.
Up there in the corner.
Yes, ma'am.
It used to be a church.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Little
ma'am.
church.
It's huge.
Mhm.
It's huge.
Yes.
Okay.
So right now, they are initially looking at one side of it, and then hopefully as funding becomes available, they could occupy both sides.
Okay, anyone else, any other commissioners have any questions of Ms. Jackson? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I fully support this effort. I just wanna know how we're gonna fund it.
I guess the same way we're gonna fund that 159,500.
Well, maybe there's another way, Mr. Chairman, and that is some of these children are certainly impacted by opioid abuse. Parents, grandparents, in the household, in the community. And I was wondering if we could use our opioid funds, or some of them, $25,000, to fund this effort.
That's a good point. I think, and some of that money, I believe, has already come to Anson County, or is on the way.
Yes, sir, we've already received, the first appropriation.
Okay, well, I mean, that makes perfect sense, Commissioner Gate, would that money be used for this? Yeah.
We are scheduling, in the process of scheduling a meeting, to discuss the utilization of those funds, so we could make that a part of the discussion.
Okay, please do so. At this point, I guess the pleasure of the board would be along those lines, so.
Absolutely.
We would entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Okay. All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturman, to approve the $25,000 to assist in providing a safe place for children to get the resources needed locally, and that money comes from the opioid funding that the county is receiving. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried, it is unanimous. So the $25,000 is approved to come out of the opioid money that the county has received.
After our discussion, hopefully that will be an allowable expense. If not, I'll
You'll be back, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Ms. Jackson.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, Mr. Lewis Evans, the Tourism Development Board.
Good evening, everybody.
Evening, Mr. Evans. So you made it.
Chairman Woodman, Commissioner, glad to see y'all again tonight. Last time we visited, was in, September of 2021. The pandemic got us last year. I'm Lewis Evans, Chair of the Anson County Tourism Development Authority, and with me again tonight is Melanie Conti. She's the Vice Chair of our TDA, and she's gonna help us with some technical information, and when we get to the end for the question and answers, I'll let her take care of that for you. She doesn't like me doing that to her, but we're doing it anyway. As most of y'all know, the TDA board is fully volunteer. We're not paid at all. The only staff we do have, and that's not really a staff for us, the Chamber of Commerce does provide for us some clerical duties and other stuff like that. So Shelby helps us a lot with that. Tonight we're gonna attempt to be brief, if you can believe me being brief on anything, but I'll try my best because I know y'all got a packed agenda, and, we just finished the Westboro Town Council meeting, so we about met out tonight, so we're gonna move on through. Melanie has already given you the budget that we use for this year, and we'll take just a second or two to talk about that. As you can see on the sheet in there that says Anson County Tourism proposed budget, it was approved by us, and just to show you the breakdown of how, what we do, the chamber contract, is approximately $10,000, which makes up about 24% of our, income. And, the visitor center rent, is, $3,000 per year. Advertising and marketing is $26,000, which is the biggest part of it. Travel, most of the time we don't do that, $1,500. Miscellaneous, we use that to balance our books, approximately $400. We don't usually have a whole lot of miscellaneous and stuff like that done. We're gonna take just a minute or two to review some of the things we did in 2021 and 22 when we didn't meet with y'all. The things that we do at the Anson County TDA make a real difference in the county, because we promote and do advertising, marketing, local events, and that makes up about 74% of our budget. As you know, tourism is a very important part of the North Carolina economy. And the recent report from the North Carolina Department of Commerce showed an increase in almost every county, and Anson County had a real increase in tourism income from 2020 to 21. So the things we're doing well, and we're doing right. But we try to make our monies go as far as we can, even with our limited budget. And as you guys know, the income that the TDA has to work with comes from the 6% occupancy tax of people putting heads in beds in our county. And we're limited with the number of hotels, motels. If you look at other towns and counties around the state, or on the way here, you see a bunch of hotels and motels, which creates rooms, which creates occupancy tax. We don't have those at that point in time, so we do the best we can. So I'll take just a minute or two to talk about some of the things we did do in 2020 and 20 and 21, well, 21 and 22, because that's the year we just finished. We fund very heavily the Anson County Arts Council. The Arts Council, I don't have the numbers in front of me. They create untold numbers of people that come and visit Anson County every year, go to the theaters. That creates a large market of people to come in from out of town. Uptown Westboro, there again, they constantly create tourism. We support heavily the Kids Expo. What better asset do we have than our young folks? We missed the expo last year because of the pandemic, but we're back on. It was a very successful expo a couple of weeks ago. We support the Chamber of Commerce, and all these things, when I say we support by advertising. That's what we do. We don't physically pay for products or projects or profits. We pay and create advertising for people. That's part of our goal. We help support the Chamber of Commerce with the oyster roast, big game hunt, and those things bring people in from all over everywhere. The many other things that we do to promote TDA. Last year, as a matter of fact, and this didn't create a lot of tourism, but it did a thank you. At the PD Wildlife Refuge, we had an event that we honored one of our long-time TDA members. Nancy Cornwell passed away last year. If you have a chance to go to the Wildlife Refuge, go and look at that bench. We've got a bench much like we have downtown here, with a nice plaque on it honoring Nancy Cornwell for her years of service with the TDA. good thing that I won't talk too much about, but I will begin talking about it. We constantly do things in the TDA that, things like the banner program that we started 5 years ago. And just a few days we'll be putting up the fall banners. People love these things, and it's been a very successful project. We've done other things such as wayfinding signs. Those have continued to reward us well for the time that we've done. One thing that we're going to be looking at in the future, and we don't know exactly how long it's going to be because we're studying on that right now. We're doing some research on making Anson County the sport shooting capital of the Carolinas, or whatever we name it. So we're doing a lot of playing and considering what we're going to do. But as you know, there's a lot of sport shooting in our area. And there's actually going to be a national shoot this year. And I think we'll see the benefits of people traveling all across the United States to come and participate in these things. We plan to continue supporting these things and continue making our TDA a successful plan. Anybody have any questions or concerns that we may can answer tonight?
Okay. Any questions from commissioners?
We tried to make it as brief as we can. I threw half my notes away, and I know you're glad of that. But if anybody's got some questions, Melanie will be glad to answer those for you. I always like doing that to her before she cuts that eye at every time. But thank y'all for your support, and we'll see you again next year, if not before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate what you do.
Y'all do a good job.
Okay, next is Mr. Rick Lanier with the U.S. Motto Action, and that's on page 153.
Mr. Chairman, just a point of order. Do we need to approve the budget request?
I don't know if they were asking. Like this is. Mr. Evans, we don't usually approve your budget, do we? I didn't think we did.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Good question, Mr. Commissioner Gatewood. Okay, Mr. Lanier.
Good evening, Chairman Woodburn and Commissioners. Before I give my presentation, I want to point out a couple of things. One, some of my wife's folks are from here. We'll claim the good ones and the bad ones will have to stand for themselves. Burr, B-U-R-R. It's my wife's maiden name.
All right.
And in fact, they had a Burr reunion here. Used to have Burr reunions here down in Ansonville every once in a while. And I read something recently about Anson County. You're rated number 3 in the state as far as homegrown people, I guess you might say, being born here and stay here. And that means 97 other counties have more people coming in from other areas or moving out, of the area. You have a lot of homegrown people here, so I think that speaks well of Anson County. Honorable elected officials, thank you for placing the U.S. Motto Action Committee on your agenda tonight. It's my pleasure to come before you. This is an invitation to join the growing list of cities and counties that are voting yes to proudly and prominently display our national motto, "In God We Trust," in and on their governmental buildings and law enforcement vehicles as well. My name is Rick Lanier. I am co-founder and field director for the U.S. Motto Action Committee. I served as County Commissioner of Davidson County, North Carolina from 1998 to 2002. In 2002, I led my Board of Commissioners, and I might add, this was to commemorate the first anniversary of 9/11, to vote yes to display "In God We Trust" on the exterior of the governmental center. Soon after that, several other counties began joining us and doing the same. We formed the U.S. Motto Action Committee for the sole purpose to promote patriotism by encouraging elected officials like yourself to vote yes to display "In God We Trust" in and on their governmental buildings. Displaying the motto gives ceremonial honor to public occasions and expresses confidence in our society. These words have been used on U.S. currency since 1864, and this inspiring slogan is engraved above the entrance of the U.S. Senate chamber as well as above the speaker's seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. And I might add, we're garnering a lot of legislators and senators in the State House about possibly going before the North Carolina General Assembly next year to place it there. On July 30th, 1956, during the Dwight D. Eisenhower administration, the U.S. Congress adopted "In God We Trust" as the official national motto of the United States of America, thus displaying the motto as a legal right protected by the First Amendment. On November the 1st, 2011, the U.S. House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly 396 to 9 to reaffirm "In God We Trust" as our nation's motto. Congressman Randy Forbes of Virginia sponsored the resolution in part because some have mistakenly stated that "E pluribus unum" is our national motto. Most importantly, the resolution specifically encourages the placement of the motto in and on all governmental buildings, including courthouses and school classrooms. In a recent survey, 87% of all Americans still support the display of our national motto. This is our nation's identity, and rightfully so. It is the very basis for our form of government. John F. Kennedy stated, "The guiding principle and prayer of this nation has been, is now, and shall ever be, in God we trust." In times of both war and peace, these words have been a profound source of strength and guidance to many generations of Americans. As a grassroots patriotic movement, the U.S. Motto Action Committee stands on solid legal ground. Since Davidson County, North Carolina paved the way, not one legal challenge has been raised against any city or county that has voted yes. And as of last Tuesday, we have 66 counties. If you vote yes tonight, you'll be number 67, and we also have 51 town halls, more than 115 government entities. This effort is totally legal. There's nothing to challenge, 100%, and this is the part, being a former county official, that I can attest to that you'll like. You've been asked for a lot of funds tonight, $159,500 and $25,000, although it might come from the opioid funds. I'm not asking you for one penny. 100% of the cost of placing a motto on your buildings comes from private funds. We do have a general fund. We will not accept funds from any government body, although we will accept them from county officials and their families and friends and neighbors here around. In fact, in many cases, we raise the funds right in the community when we get approved. And we've been very successful in doing so. 100% of the cost comes from private donations, and there's not very often do you get something of this magnitude offered to you free of charge. All across our country, elected officials like yourself are quickly embracing the opportunity to display our great national motto. And I can't think of a better time in our nation to do it than now. Displaying the motto will serve as a perpetual reminder of our godly heritage as a country. Are we perfect? Not by a long shot, but because we are a God-fearing nation and we were founded on such principles, we are still the greatest nation on earth, and I'd like to see us stay that way. Elected officials like you are showing the commitment to the values that our great country was founded upon, and at this time, I don't want to waste any more of your time. I want to thank you in advance for your yes vote and take the time for any questions you might have about this, and I'll try to answer. And I would like to pass this around. This is the exterior type letters, anodized aluminum, second only to diamonds in strength and durability at stud mount, and silicone. This is the type that would go here in the chambers, and Of course, you all choose the size, color, location, or locations that you want it on the building. That's all determined by the Board of Commissioners, and we will, what we do, once it's approved, we order the letters, and we go ahead and pay them in full in advance, order the letters, and we have different companies across the state that come out and do the installation. What we'll do, we'll get them to give a quote and of installing the letters. That'll be the second part of it, but we will send the check for the sign company to who you designate, be it Mr. Stockman, whoever, and and I want to thank Miss Cannon for being so kind as to get me these pictures. I failed to do that earlier. I'm sorry, and or Miss Cannon, either one, to not hand them to check until these letters are installed to your satisfaction. But it 100% we pay for, no cost to you all. Okay. Any questions?
How many buildings do you do? You just do the government center or what?
Well, so far we've got them on courthouses, town halls, inside chambers. We have them on veterans memorials. Just recently, Duplin County approved putting it on the exterior of the airport and inside the lobby at the airport. So those are just some law enforcement centers. We got them on county jails. Got the letters on county jails and just various places.
Could I, Chairman, could I make the motion that we go with "In God We Trust" on our interior seal and on our exterior of our new government annex building for those two for starters? Could I make that motion?
Yes, sir. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, you make the motion and we'll go from there. When we get to the discussion, I'll put my 2 cents worth in. So we have a motion from Commissioner Bricken to proceed with the Government Center Annex, and behind me here in the okay, seconded by Commissioner Sturban and Commissioner Mims. Any further discussion? And basically what I was going to say, and in our packet, the other 2 locations are, well, the other location is the courthouse, and I'm thinking that putting it on the Government Center would suffice. Is that the courthouse is historic, and the way it appears now is the way it was originally built, and I don't know if we need to screw around with that. So that would bring it down to in here on the exterior of the Government Center and the annex will be the ones that we will put it on.
And the annex would be this building here.
Yes, sir. And
okay.
As I pointed out to the gentleman here, we would not put it on the sign because we've got to put department names that are located in that building, but it would be on the front of the building, and that would be it.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, I fully support this effort, and I would echo your sentiments and add to them the following. Okay. Let's allow our new county manager to come back to the board with a recommendation of where we should put it. It could include some vehicles, like the Sheriff's Department or DSS. And we certainly need "In God We Trust" on our DSS building. Yeah. We don't want it to fall in on us. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, Commissioner Bricken, if you would amend your motion to that effect, and if the second will still stand, we can go with that.
So we are gonna table it until we find out.
I'm gonna table it. Add the
add those. Okay.
Stossman to come back with his recommendation.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Anywhere, if there's any other places we want to add.
I would amend my motion to include Commissioner Gatewood's concern.
Okay, and the second still stand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor, let it know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The motion is approved.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Appreciate the positive vote tonight. And go home and tell my wife, her kinfolk can see. In God we trust, and that's yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lanier. Okay, we're now down to item 6D, Mr. A.R. Rubin with A.R. Rubin and Associates. And that information is found on page 169 in our packet.
My name is Bob Rubin. I'm an emeritus professor at North Carolina State University. I've been involved in a number of remediation, bioremediation activities, not just here in North Carolina, but around the country, around the world. There's a project that was promoted or proposed here in Anson County to bioremediate petroleum contaminated soils. The first thing I want to say is these are non-toxic and non-hazardous soil materials. They cannot be toxic or hazardous materials. That's strictly prohibited by law. Bioremediation is an aerobic thermophilic process. It takes place at a relatively high temperature. The levels of petroleum product in the soils that we're talking about remediating are low. If you were to smell some of these soils, you might smell a faint odor of gasoline or of oil. The application has been submitted to the state. We requested a letter from the County Planning Commission. County Planning Commission said that the area that's proposed on Highway 109 North is currently not zoned. It's agricultural, and local ordinances would apply. We have submitted a management plan. I've submitted that management plan to Mr. Merrick, and he has the information that we've submitted. We have been working with a former colleague of mine, Mr. Russell Sykes, to identify some property in not just Anson County, or not just this site, but other sites around the area. The site we're currently looking at is a poultry farm. It is up for sale. The composting activities will take place, or the bioremediation activities will take place within the poultry houses. Our site and soil investigations do indicate that the property meets all of the requirements that are in the state rule. Russell, do you want to?
It's an active farm. On 109 North, it's the Tulu Farm, which is the Alan Moore Farm. Many of you know it. It's out on 109 North, about 9 miles. It's by itself. There's a bunch of timberland around it. But it doesn't matter. It should have this, what they're planning to do will have a lot less odor or any impact than what that poultry farm does right now, to be honest.
I can't say that.
But,
I can't say that, but I can't officially.
But that's one reason they wanted inside the barns to be in this. The people I met with this company are very good people to work with. They've already agreed that they will send a letter that they will not take advantage of the recycling laws that will be taxed at a normal business rate, county rate.
And if I may add to what we have said, the state does have a number of these bioremediation facilities around the state. If you'd like, I can leave this list with you, or I can email you a copy of the list. It's this got cut off on this side, but this is not a new technology. We have used it in North Carolina very effectively for over 30 years. I will be happy to try to answer any questions if any of you have any questions. And again, I'm not certain that we need approval. This is just an information presentation. We have received a letter from the planning and zoning. Mr. Mayor does have all of the information that we've submitted.
It's in your board packet.
Oh, it's in your package, okay. Any questions?
I think if you would leave the information
I'm
you
sorry.
mentioned, if you would leave it with our clerk.
I got it, Mr. Chairman. May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Is this a new processing plant to be built in Anson County?
It is a bioremediation facility to, yes, it would be a new facility in Anson County.
So you're asking us to accept another hazardous waste
No, sir,
processing plant?
it is not a hazardous, I said at the very outset, this is
I know
non-toxic
but you
and
also
non-hazardous.
said that there would be a slight smell of gasoline.
Mhm. I said there may be.
Maybe means it will be. I know how
Okay.
companies work. I have worked with them all my life. You're using speak that the average person does not understand. When you say maybe, it will be. Is that not correct?
I can't answer that. The facilities I have visited
I know
do
you
not
can't-
have any
I know
odor.
you can't answer that. We do not want another processing plant in Anderson County.
Okay.
We have too many already.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Johnson.
If you all have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer your questions.
Okay, any questions from anyone? Like I said, just leave your information with Ms. Cannon, our clerk, and she can make copies for us and get it to you.
I'd like to ask a quick question, this is real quick.
Yes, sir.
What was the process you went through to pick Anson County as a location?
We looked at a number of different counties. Anson was selected because of land availability, primarily land availability. And roads, transportation. This is right on a main highway.
But you're thinking everything is gonna be just gas and soil. It's not. It's gonna be, they'll be taking in, waste from the beer plant, that's, the hops and stuff that's left over after the process. They'll be mixing it with other compost to compost it. When they get through with the product will be sold to go back on your garden and yard.
But all processing plants cause odors and they cause other chemical problems released into the air. If you have a composting plant, it's gonna produce carbon monoxide, it's gonna produce a slew of other gases that you cannot contain. And we have McGill coming out here, it's on Highway 74. We have a landfill over here that cannot be controlled. And we do not want another processing plant of any type, even if it's processing chicken litter. I don't want it, anyway whatsoever.
I hear you.
Okay, we will have the county manager and staff investigate.
Any questions? Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rubin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Ms. Andrea Lamb is our Veteran Service Officer.
Good evening.
Evening.
And welcome, Mr. Sussman. We are excited to have you. Can't wait to meet with you. I would like to share an initiative to bring Operation Greenlight to Anson County. In collaboration with North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, Operation Greenlight is an initiative to empower and connect counties and soon-to-be new veterans and their families through a coordinated and cohesive transition process. In short, the state is asking that we light up our county with green lights to show support to our veterans. The green light is to act as a beacon of hope for the struggling veterans who don't feel supported or feel lost as they transition from military service. As a Veteran Service Office, I plan to project a green light upon the courthouse for the week of Veterans Day, along with adding green floodlights to the Anson County Annex building where our office is now located. If you look at the courthouse tonight, you will see a green light projected there. That's just to give you an idea of what it will look like for a week. So I'll take it down when I get up there. But, our Veterans Service Office is very active in providing a beacon of hope and support to our county veterans and their families. Currently, we have approximately plus or minus 2,000 veterans in Anson County, 1,440 of which are receiving benefits. That number can be multiplied over with spouses and dependent children of these veterans. During the almost 4 years I have served Anson County veterans, I have added $6 million additional federal dollars to yearly rotating income of veterans and their families here in Anson County. A yearly rotating total of $16,304,000 to Anson County veterans. This yearly income is released back into the county through home purchases, taxes, employing other county members, car purchases, and local commerce. We have added 4 full scholarships to children of veterans who graduated from Anson County High School. Full scholarships. We have put on several Memorial Day services and events, Veterans Day events, successfully. We have provided medical care to both veterans and their dependents. We have had numerous federal appeals granted, and the list goes on. As you can see, our office is in full force, but strives to do more as opportunities exist. I would like to finish by sharing with you a story of hope. And the day I realized how important the Veterans Service Office was to the community. Approximately 10 years ago, I started serving as a Veterans Service Officer in Montgomery County. A young boy, about 13 years old, came into my office. His bus picked him up and dropped him off in the parking lot. He walked in and he told me, "My dad is a veteran and he needs your help." I asked him if he could bring his dad the next day to meet with me, and he did. When I met with the father, I found he was a Gulf War veteran who lost his leg and had a traumatic brain injury and struggled daily to work, but worked to care for his family. They were struggling with an income of $1,500 a month and a family of 6. The oldest boy chose to work to help his dad instead of going to college. The father had never applied for any of his earned benefits from the VA. He just struggled day in and day out because of the sacrifice he made for our country. I immediately put in an application for the service connection benefits. His medical exam showed that he had a traumatic brain injury, which included a brain hemorrhage that the doctor said was emergent and could have cost him his life. The MRI also dated the TBI to his injury in combat. His son very likely saved his life by asking for help that day. His rating came back at 100%. He was able to receive an income check from the VA to help him retire from his job. He was able to receive medical benefits to get his traumatic brain injury treated, along with numerous other injuries he had sustained in combat. His family was able to get off Medicaid and received health care through Champ VA. We soon discovered that he was also supposed to have received a retirement check, but never received it, and that was quickly corrected. His son and 3 other of his children were able to go to college for free. He and his wife bought their very first home, one that they are very proud of. He was able to breathe. He was able to heal. He was able to find rejuvenation through this earned benefit. The young son went on to join the Navy. After 5 years of service, he recently walked into my office to seek my help with his benefits. This story is one in many, but it shows the impact that our office can make to our community. Our office is a beacon of hope to veterans who struggle. So I ask you tonight to please show your support in Operation Greenlight so that Anson County is seen as a beacon of hope to our veterans across the state of North Carolina.
Mr. Chairman, if it's appropriate, I'll make a motion that we support the Green Light for Veterans proposal.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Gatewood, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant to support the Green Light for Veterans project. Any further discussion? And I will add this, we should have a proclamation and a press release at our next meeting. We'll have to approve the proclamation as well, and then you'll see the press release to go out and notify the citizens of Anson County, because we're asking each person that will to put a green light somewhere on their home. And this will happen during the week of Veterans Day. When this project originally started, I think actually at NACO, National Association of Counties, it was just for Veterans Day, but here in North Carolina, we want to do the entire week, starting on November the 7th, all the way through the 13th. So that's just a little background. Okay, all in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, like sign. Hearing none, it is approved unanimously to support Green Light for Veterans.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lamlin. She does an excellent job, and she's very much recognized at the North Carolina Association of Veteran Services Officers, where she actually serves as one of the officers for that group. Great job. Okay, we're now down to appointments found on page 185 for the Region F Aging Advisory Committee, and they're asking that we appoint Pat Adams as an alternate, the term to end June 30th, 2023. Ms. Angela DePietro, delegate, second term in June 30th, 2024. Ms. Joanne Clark, a delegate, the third term in June 30th, 2024. Ms. Thomasina Spencer, a delegate, the third term in June 30th, 2024. So we have a motion by Commissioner Mims to appoint the named people. Is there a second?
Yes, sir, second.
Second by Commissioner Gatewood. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposers, like sign. It is unanimous. The appointments are made to the Region F Aging Advisory Committee. Okay, the manager's report. Mr. Allen.
Yes, sir, this will be my final manager's report.
You hope.
So you say. Coach has been kindly deferred to me since this is only his second day on the job.
Right.
There are a lot of issues to cover, but I will say he and I had good meetings Friday and all day today, and he is learning very quickly all of the myriad issues that the county is dealing with. But for the first item is disposal options for county-owned parcels. Recently, the county, the Board of Commissioners had expressed concern about the appearance and just the nuisance surrounding two properties that the county owns at 711 Salisbury Street and at 901 North Green Street. And you had asked Mr. Ponder to look at what would be the potential cost of demolishing those. And unfortunately, the estimate was about $160,000, primarily because of the asbestos abatement that the county would have to go through for those property. And so because of that cost, I think the board had said, well, perhaps the best option would be to try to dispose of those properties and then let the owners who get those properties take care of the demolition. So provided in your agenda package tonight the various options for disposal. This is information from the School of Government that are available. And as you can see, there are a number of options for real property. So if the county decides you do want to dispose of those, we could proceed with any of those that are permitted, such as public auction, upset bid, those kinds of things. So it would be up to the board as to how you want to proceed, or if you want to proceed at this time with that.
Do you have any particular recommendation?
You know, the upset bid option is something that I think a number of local governments, I've used that myself. Mr. Sossman, he says he's used that as well. What that allows you to do is you get a bid for the property, and then other bidders have an opportunity to come in and offer a higher bid, and that process continues until you do not get any further bids. So that might maximize what you get. I think we all understand realistically that you're not going to get a lot of money for these properties. The main objective is to get the properties back on the tax rolls and get the properties cleaned up. So.
That's right.
But upset bid is a fairly simple way to do it, and it is legal under the statutes.
Okay. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Do you wanna proceed in that direction?
I make a motion that we proceed in that direction based on the manager's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Bricken, seconded by Commissioner Mims, that we offer these two properties for competitive sale by public auction, sealed bid, or upset bid. Any further discussion?
Not a
That was not what was proposed, was it?
It said upset bid, I mean, that's what's in there.
Okay, I thought he said sealed bids.
That's what I said.
I apologize, maybe I misunderstood. I apologize.
Competitive sale by public auction,
There are
sealed
two
bid,
options.
or upset bid.
Yeah, so, but
Okay.
I think, I understood the upset bid was the one you were
Yes.
proposing, is that?
That's
is
the
that right?
motion.
So we don't need to mention others then,
That-
just the
that's
upset
correct.
bid.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, I was confused, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The question though is, any citizen can make a bid, even a county commissioner. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's the way I read it, anybody can make it.
Okay, so let me back up then. The motion is to, put these properties up for upset bid.
That's right.
And that any citizen in Hampton County can make a bid.
Okay?
I mean, out of the county, anywhere, anybody can bid.
Anybody can bid on it, yes, sir.
Mhm.
Ma'am. Okay, that motion was made by Commissioner Bricken and seconded by Commissioner Mills. Any further discussion?
I have a question. So with the tearing down of the building, that's all gonna be disposed of, there's gonna be, the other new owners are gonna be required to
That-
take care of that?
That's up to them,
Okay.
whoever get it.
That's their call.
Mhm.
That was a discussion we had before anyway.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The two properties would be put up for upset bid. Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen.
Yes, sir. The next item is, and this came up recently as well, is, of course, the school board now has in hand between the $5 million match from the county and $30 million in funding from the state of North Carolina. We think adequate funds to construct a new middle school, so they've engaged an architect, they've identified a site. The board has agreed to convey an additional 18 acres to the school board, although we have not received the survey from the school board yet. We're still waiting on that to convey that site. So the question has come up, what about the existing middle school site? And the board was concerned that as you've seen other schools, once they're abandoned, they decay and become an eyesore and a nuisance, and the board doesn't want that to happen with the current Anson Middle School. And so there was an interest expressed in, do we need to do an RFQ to assess the site? That was the last action of the board. Then Mr. Bricken talked to one of the school board members, and he found out that they actually had done an assessment in 2017. And Mr. Bricken obtained a copy, and it's about 1.5 inches thick, so we didn't reproduce that for the board, but we did reproduce for you an executive summary of each of the buildings. And the total, as you can see, in 2017, the estimated repair cost for that property was $25.5 million. And so, since the council, the board of commissioners had said, let's do an assessment, since we had this new information, we wanted to bring this back before the board and ask you, do you still feel there's any need to do that when we have the detailed assessment already in hand in 2017? So I guess that's sort of what we're proposing, Mr. Chairman. Do you want to proceed with any other assessment, or is this sufficient?
I'm thinking by consensus of the board, if anybody says different, I'm thinking this is enough information here. We don't need to spend any more money just to find out something we already know. And actually, this figure would probably be low now compared to the increase in construction cost over the last couple of years.
But if everyone's sure that we're not gonna be able to salvage the building, we need to assess the price of tearing it down next. Cause that's gonna, well, like you said, we don't wanna leave an abandoned building for that neighborhood. So eventually, we're gonna have to have that conversation.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Did we ever find out if that was gonna revert back to the county, that property?
There's not been any decision yet that I know of, because the school board, they don't usually do that until they get out of it.
Okay.
I've got some preliminary information. As I understand it, the school board owns the property, but under the statutes, the Board of County Commissioners has right of first refusal.
Right.
So you have the right, the first right of accepting the property, and you've got the ability to negotiate a price for it if it could be conveyed, at no cost at all, or there could be some negotiation between the board of commissioners and the school board. But you do have the right of first refusal. They can't convey it to anyone else without coming first. Sir?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, the next item, Mr. Chairman, are policies required for receipt of American Rescue Plans, and I'd like to, if I could, recognize Ms. Lanessa Hawkins from Central Iowa Regional Council. Ms. Hawkins primarily developed these policies based on models from the UNC School of Government. As you know, the county has received an allocation of $4.7 million, and we've actually received about half of those funds. And they're sort of sitting there earning interest, and the county keeps the interest on those funds until we begin to expend those. However, as a caveat to that, each entity, local government entity that receives these funds has to adopt certain policies. And those are outlined. There's the civil rights and non-discrimination policy, conflict of interest policy, eligible use policy, records retention policy, and allowable cost policies. And copies of each of those are in your package, and we are asking that the Board of Commissioners approve these. I think that can all be approved with one motion, all five policies, but we're asking you to approve those so we can proceed, with using the funds. Earlier tonight under the consent agenda, you adopted the ordinance for expenditure of the funds. As you know, we're going to be using the revenue replacement method, which frees up the funds for the projects that the board has identified, and it's continuing to identify as potential ARPA fund recipient projects.
I make a motion that we adopt all 5 policies.
Second. We have a motion from Commissioner Sturman, seconded by Commissioner Cagle and Commissioner Mills, that we approve and it is okay to do all these at one time?
Yes, he already said.
Said it? Okay.
It is.
Okay, then we approve these 5 policies. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Okay, hearing none, it is unanimous. The 5 policies are approved, and they were just named before we did that. Okay, Mr. Allen?
Yes, sir. The next item is also related to the American Rescue Plan, and I'm not asking for any action tonight. You've already taken action on part of that, and that was the request from DSS for renovations at their existing building. You'll see that the request from Ms. Jackson's email to me dated August 9th is $193,059. But one of these items was included in the current operating budget, and that's why she reduced it down to $153, because one of those is already included in the current operating budget. But I have provided a list for you of the projects that previously have been mentioned or proposed by the board for eligible ARPA funding. 2 of these, it's my understanding from Mr. Ponder, the board has decided not to proceed with. That was the $160,000 for the demolition of the 2 parcels that you just declared surplus earlier tonight, and then $70,000 for a salary and staffing study. Indicated the board did not want to move ahead with that. But the other items on there are still under consideration. Not asking you to do a formal adoption tonight, but along with what you approved for DSS, that still leaves over $600,000 in remaining. So if there are any other projects that the board wants to identify over the next month or 2, you probably need to work with Mr. Sossman to identify those. And the way this will work is we'll be using the ARPA funds to pay the payroll each time the payroll is done. So as that payroll is done using the ARPA funds, that frees up these funds. So over the course of the next year, the $4.7 million will be available. So part of that is you'll need to prioritize what you're going to spend the ARPA funds on, because it won't all be available at one time, but as you spend that payroll down, it will be available. And then, so we'll need to prioritize what order, and then also finalize plans for the total $4.7 million.
Okay.
Just to report, are there any questions about that?
I'll mention it again, if it's okay, Mr. Chairman, and that is a one-time staff bonus. Many local governments around the state, actually around the nation, have already awarded staff bonuses using COVID funds. And I would really like to suggest that we include that as a line item, for these funds.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gatewood, and I think I'd also mention too, I'd like to get, some of this designated for some renovations at the Popeland campus for SBCC as well, so I'll get Mr. Sossaman on that. Okay,
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I have one item that we received late, that I'd like to add to the manager's
Yes, sir.
report. And we actually, Ms. Cannon placed copies of this request at everyone's place tonight, and I emailed it earlier, to the county attorney, so he'd be aware of it. But Rex Edwards, the airport manager, had a request recently, from KP Films in Wadesboro. They are filming, a series of television programs, and I don't think they've sold those to any particular network yet, but they're filming those. And they would like to film one at the Anson County Airport, and it would be about North Carolina barbecue, Eastern barbecue style versus Lexington barbecue style. They'd like to do that on October the 8th. Rex is in favor of it. He's met with them, showed them the areas that they could happen. They have provided a narrative about what they'd like to do, a location release that the county would be asked to sign, and a certificate of liability insurance. So Rex would like to see this, but of course it's up to the board if you'd like to do that, and I defer to Mr. Forbes about any legal concerns.
I want to thank you for letting me look at this. A couple of changes that I would like to propose to them before we sign this. Just it was very generic. There's some things on here, and also they said that I mean, I'm sure they're doing this with surrounding counties. I'd like to make it a little more specific, because some of the things that they are requiring would be out of our control. We could not do that. So I'd like to propose. I don't think they'll reject it. One of the things on the back is they said that it would be anything within Union County, and we're in Anson County. Just the things like that. That's all.
And is it a problem if you do that and then we'll approve it at our October meeting, since we're meeting before they do the shooting, or do they need to know way before?
I think that for planning purposes, they'll need to know now, because that would only give them about a week. So if you could approve it, subject to Mr. Forbes making the changes, that would be my suggestion.
And we still don't look at it?
Yeah, that's just one of the things, that's why I asked for the October.
Well, what you're doing is you're agreeing to what they have now. However, I'm just going to shore this up. Something's like, we would only be responsible for releasing the footage that they have on our property. For example, we can give permission for them to use the runway and to show the scene and the building and all that stuff. However, not all of those hangars out there are ours. Some of those hangars would be covered by the local owners.
Right.
And we could do a couple of things. We can make them go get their own information or their own permission, or we could ask them if they minded, whichever way. I don't, you know, I don't want to obligate us for something that we don't have the right to obligate. Plus, I'd like to read their policy to see, the $2 million amount I like, but I want to see what exclusions they might have in their insurance policy.
Okay.
If not, can we come back for a short meeting back?
We could recess tonight and come back at a later date just to review that contract, for lack of a better term. And my suggestion would be that once you get it done, is get it out to Ms. Cannon ahead of us coming back to meet, so we would have a chance to review it and know what we talk about when we get here.
Ms. Cannon will make me have it done by tomorrow, so that'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Okay, Mr. Hamlin.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, I'm only gonna just mention one thing. At the County Commissioners Annual Conference, I attended the emergency management plan, and one of the things that came out of that, learned quite a bit, you know, but one of the things I want to make the board aware of is that somewhere along the line we'll need to take a look at our emergency plan and just get familiar with it and make sure that it's, you know, and I'm pretty sure Mr. Diggs is doing this. It needs to be reviewed and updated periodically, but I think that's something that we as a board, because we do have some responsibilities when an emergency here, you know, jumps off, whether it's weather related, whether it's some type of a natural disaster, or even a health issue. There are certain things we have to do, so I just wanted to put that out there and make the board aware of it. That's actually all that I have. That brings us down to commissioner concerns, petitions, announcements. Item 10A, Commissioner Mims, transfer of a vehicle to a municipality, I would say, the town of Morgan.
It is. It's one of the sheriff department vehicles that's gonna go on the surplus. Not this time, but it's planning on going. It's one of the vehicles that Morgan would like to put in their fleet to get rid of some of the older cars they have. Also, the car has damage. They agreed to fix all anything where we're not liable to do anything. It's a 2015 Dodge Charger, VIN number 2C3CDXATXFH795991. It's got 107,334 miles. I would like to make that motion to transfer to Morgan Police Department.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Mims, seconded by Commissioner Sturtevant, to transfer the Sheriff's Department vehicle to the town of Morgan. It's a 2015 Dodge Charger, and I'm definitely not gonna try to repeat the VIN number.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, if I may, and that is, this is likely to solicit requests from other municipalities for a vehicle. Are we prepared to address those as well?
They would have to do the same thing that Commissioner Mims has done, and we have had that in the past. I think it's been once or twice that municipalities come and ask for a surplus Sheriff's Department vehicle, and we granted that. So,
thank you.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? All in favor, let it know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous. The transfer of a Sheriff's Department vehicle, 2015 Dodge Charger to Morgan has been approved. Okay, 10B, wood treatment facility from Brunswick County information, Commissioner Bricken, brother.
Yeah, although Anson County right now is considered one of 3 sites, from what I understand in reading the article and some of the emails that I've gotten, it's basically a Superfund site from the EPA, which is something that we definitely, I don't think, want. So I talked to our attorney asking what type of legal avenues do we have to keep this from coming, and since we have no zoning in that area, if they have a contract that allows for that type of waste, we may be limited on what we can legally do to stop it. But what I wanted to do, based on my conversation with our attorney, is I'd like for the Board of Commissioners to issue a resolution of opposition to Anson County as a potential destination for this EPA Superfund contaminated waste. Now, if they're looking at 3 counties and one is openly voicing opposition and the other 2 aren't, that could help us. Now, Sampson County, looking at it logistically, is closer than we are, so I would assume that they may be a more viable candidate for that waste. But at this time, I would like to at least make a motion that we put together a resolution of opposition to that particular waste product coming from Brunswick County, from a treated wood facility where they were able to make a profit off of that industry and then dump the waste on us. Is something that I'm not for. And I'd like to make a motion that we have a resolution of opposition to that particular EPA study that's being done, that's considering us as one of the locations to transport that and dispose here.
Okay. We have a motion from Commissioner Brigham to adopt a resolution of opposition to A.R. Rubin and Associates.
No, I'm talking about the Brunswick County from the EPA Superfund site.
Isn't that the ones that made that's the ones.
It's 2 different things. The Brunswick County treated wood site was that letter that we received from Manager Allen back, I think, on August 12th, from an article that was published about moving that toxic or that material from Brunswick County to Anson County. The Rubin was something.
This is the one we heard tonight.
No, this was a different.
I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was the one we heard tonight. Okay. Okay, so the Commissioner Bricken's motion is to a resolution of opposition to the wood treated material from Brunswick County.
For Brunswick County, yeah, that was identified in that article that
Okay.
Manager, Allen had sent to us, and, the EPA Superfund site.
It was part of the discussion from the, citizens' concerns. too.
Okay, all right.
And normally we don't address the citizen concern the night of the concern, but I had already, this is a concern that I had thought of before y'all had come along, so, yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, we
I'll
don't, we
second.
can't address them during the time that they're talking, public address to the board, but we can, if we decide afterwards to take action, we can, so. it's not-
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
Same second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Gatewood and Commissioner Mims. Any further discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, it is unanimous. The motion to, adopt the resolution of opposition to Wood Creek Material from Brunswick County is approved unanimously. Okay, that takes care of our agenda. There is no need for a closed session that I'm aware of, so,
Mr. Chairman, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't recognize Mr. Allen for his excellent service.
Yes, sir.
Most
Yes, sir.
Not only one term as interim county manager, but 2 terms, and he found his replacement, okay? So, we really appreciate it.
Which speaks volumes.
Don't change your phone number.
I don't think you're gonna need my number for any time to come.
But if you need a letter of recommendation, please let us know.
You know, we ain't gonna sign it. You say he's going home to enjoy his wife, you better go home and enjoy it.
Well, we do, we appreciate what you've done for us, Mr. Allen, and, you know, you've been here twice, and I kinda had to twist his arm for the second one. But along that line, we thank Mr. Sossaman for being willing to come,
Exactly.
I can see his enthusiasm since he's been here. We really look forward to working with you, and you just let us know what you need.
Yes, sir, thank you very much.
Okay, the next thing is, we need to recess for tonight. We need to determine when we can come back to review this, this contract from, what is it, MK?
PK Films, I believe. KP Films.
KP Films, okay.
Still gotta find out.
I'll have it done by
The attorney, I have it ready, right?
Well, we're gonna give them the time frame to have it ready, cause it's at our meeting after that. And, so, what works? You wanna come back this week or next week?
Mr. Chair, you tell me, I'll have it done. If I have to, I can do it at night. It's no big deal. I work late at night.
I'll tell you what. What about Monday the 19th? That work for everybody?
What time?
I'm thinking it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
I can do it.
It shouldn't take but a few minutes. We should be here less than an hour, I would think. But I'm open to other dates and times. If you wanna look at,
I'm open, it's up to you all.
I mean, we can come back Wednesday this week if you want to, the 14th.
Do we have to notify the public?
Not if we recess tonight, and let them know the date and time we're gonna meet.
All right.
That's correct.
How much time do you need to prepare?
I'll have it done tomorrow, by 12.
Is it Wednesday fine with everybody?
Wednesday work for everybody?
10.
10, that's fine, yeah.
Dropping them, we gonna leave, we ain't gonna walk my house.
Okay, so it sounds like at this point that we will recess until Wednesday, September the 14th at 10 a.m. So I'll need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gatewood, second. Second by Commissioner Sterling. To recess until Wednesday, September the 14th at 10 a.m. All in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. It is unanimous.